Hey everybody and welcome back to my Michael Keaton series. And today we're going to be talking about Batman Returns. We talked about Batman last time, so we're going to be checking out Batman Returns this time. I could talk a lot about this film. I could hit on different aspects of it, but with this series I kind of want to just focus in a little bit more on Michael Keaton. So just to kind of go ahead and give you my opinion of the film right away, when I first saw this when I was younger, I did not like it. The first Batman was always my favorite and still is my favorite out of the Keaton films. And got older, watched this again, and I was just like blown away. I mean, the dark subject matter, it does have a little bit of a campiness to it still, but the campiness is different because it's campy, but it has some really disturbing aspects to it, like the circus clowns and all that kind of stuff, and it just has this dark side to it. It's a very dark film. But the older I got, the more I was just thought it was so beautifully made. The cinematography, the sets, the music by Danny Elfman. Tim Burton knocked it out of the park with this, and it's just, um, you know, definitely misjudged when it first came out. And kids were, parents were mad because it was too violent and stuff. I'm like, well, you already knew it was PG-13 to begin with, and I'm pretty sure you can look at the trailers and tell that it's actually going to be a dark movie. So if you decided to bring your 8-year-old to a PG-13 Batman film that you could obviously tell is going to be dark and violent, then that's your fault. But anyways, yes, we have Batman Returns, and basically this takes place after. Just it doesn't really talk about the period of time after the first Batman, but it stands on its own. It doesn't rely on any continuing narratives from the first film. Nothing. It's basically a standalone film, and it starts out with just lighting of the Gotham Christmas tree, and all of a sudden there's all these attacks on the city by this group, and Batman has to come save the day, and there's a huge conspiracy behind all of it. There's Max Schreck, played by Christopher Walken, who is such a good bad guy. He's this big businessman, but he has so many flawed and terrible ideas, and his self-interest is just through the roof. He just is so egotistical. And we have that story. Then we have the story of Penguin, who is born with deformities, so his parents send him down the river into to be with the sewer, basically. And he's raised down there, and through a bunch of different situations in his life, he ends up being who he is at the time when this film begins, and that's Penguin. And Max Schreck sees Penguin as an opportunity to try to get a little bit of a power grab of the what do they call it, like the city council and stuff for Gotham. The mayor at the time doesn't really dig all of Max Schreck's ideas, so he's like, well, maybe if I could work out this scenario, kind of make him my own Manchurian candidate. Maybe I could get the Penguin to be elected mayor and all this stuff. And it's just all this different plots that are kind of merging together to create this story. And it's a beautiful, tragic film. I mean, it's a tragic film, especially with the character of Penguin. And that's really kind of why I like it so much. It's definitely not my favorite out of the Batman films. Being a big Batman comic nerd, I really just consider the Tim Burton Batman films, and really all of Warner Brothers films out of the original series, just kind of standalone films. They kind of ignore a lot about canon and stuff, but I like this film for what it is. And Michael Keaton's performance in it, he actually does, in my opinion, a better performance in this film than the first film. I think he's a great Bruce Wayne in the first film, but this one gives him a little bit more to work with. You see a little bit more of the detective skills of Batman. You see a little bit more of the scientific, skills of Batman. You see Alfred working on a lot of stuff as well. And you see the brain of Bruce Wayne. And there's a lot of stuff in regards to that. It's the character so much more fleshed out and gives Michael Keaton a little bit more to work with. And he just knocks it out of the park in this film. I definitely think that Michael Keaton, Christopher Walken, and Danny DeVito really knock it out of the park with their performances. I mean, you could argue that Danny DeVito was probably over the top, but that's what, Tim Burton probably wanted. And so the only character I really don't care for is the interpretation of Selena Kyle and Catwoman. She's great when she's wearing a Catwoman suit, but I don't I don't really dig that interpretation, and I'm probably one of those people that actually do without everything to do with Catwoman. Maybe except some of the scenes that deal with like Bruce Wayne, because he's talking to her like, he in different parts of the comic history, they fall for each other. There's this like love interest in between them two because they're so much alike and all this kind of stuff. And I like that part about this movie, that they kind of fleshed that out a little bit. But the thing is that they write Selena Kyle so bad that you don't think that, there's no chemistry whatsoever between them because of how they have her written. And so you hear him say all this stuff and you're like, man, this is awesome. They're going this route. But then they just write her to be terrible. Now, again, this is my personal opinion. But, overall, I still enjoy this film a lot. And Tim Burton, I think it's this underrated film of, the Batman films, and especially the early films of Tim Burton. This is Burton all the way. This is like, if you, give Tim Burton free reign over everything, this is what it would look like. Of course, now you have films like today, like, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and all that stuff, which I still love. But you could tell that, Tim Burton's hands are all over it. And there's something about this film that I like, too, about the earlier films of Tim Burton. He doesn't rely on CGI as much, whereas most of his films now, especially like, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which I love. But there's too much CGI. CGI is like, there's barely any practical effects. So, but anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't seen this, I'm sorry if I spoiled anything for you. Not really bothered with spoiling certain things in these videos because everybody's pretty much seen this. But I didn't really give away a lot of the plot stuff. I kind of just set it up. I didn't talk about the ending, none of that stuff. Tragedy could be, taken so many different ways. But yeah, Michael Keaton, Batman Returns, and this movie came out in 1992. So, thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.